Everyone knows the concept of genocide, which means the killing of one certain nation. But do you know what the ecocide is? Yes, this is a complete destruction of one certain nature. And it happened in Ukraine. In fact, it will go down into history as one of the biggest environmental disasters of the 21st century. What's up, rolls? My name is Siga, welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, guys, we'll talk about destruction of the hydroelectric power plant in the city of Nova Kakhovka. Massive flooding of cities and how it will affect the future fate of my country. In Ukraine there is a large hydroelectric power station located on the Dnipro river in the city of Nova Kakhovka, that is Kherson region. It has a reservoir that holds a large volumes of water. The hydropower plant has a significant potential for electricity production and makes a large contribution to the overall energy system of Ukraine. But on the first day of the invasion, Russians occupied the city of Nova Kakhovka and the hydroelectric station dam. Throughout the war, the Ukrainian military warned that Russia could mine this dam and blow it up for its own military purposes. And unfortunately, it happened, and it cannot be restored. Massive flooding of cities has already begun because of detonation. Up to 80 settlements are under threat. About 60,000 people are in the disaster zone. Just look at this huge amount of water. And now it's not under control and just covers entire cities. I want to note that the Dnipro is the largest river in Ukraine. This is absolutely terrible. On the map we can see the northern part is controlled by Ukraine and the southern part by Russia. Russia could use the flooding to widen the Dnipro river and complicate the Ukrainian counter-offensive across the already complex waterway. Russian sources have expressed strong concern about the possibility that Ukraine is preparing to cross the river and counterattack on the eastern bank of the Kherson region. Also, the Russian command is trying to divert part of the forces and resources to defense forces of Ukraine from the front line. Representatives of Russian troops said that a dam was destroyed due to shelling of Ukrainian army, which is of course a fake excuse. This explanation is implausible, since the limited Russian forces don't pose a significant threat to the northern bank. It's still difficult to predict the exact consequences, but the destruction of the dam has obviously already led to an ecological disaster. Simply saying, this is an act of ecocide. Under international law, it's a war crime, as the destruction of dams is expressly prohibited, even if there are military objects. Despite the fact that many other countries have attacked dams in history, this doesn't justify Russia's actions. Only imagine water coming non-stop, regardless of what or who is left in danger zone. People, animals, houses or plants. The so-called lower Dnipro sand stretched along the lower bank of the Dnipro below Kakhovka for about 200 kilometers. The Black Sea Reserve and 3 national parks have been created in this part of Ukraine. The presence of these objects reflects the uniqueness of ecosystems formed of the Nizhny Dnipro sands. Many species of plants and animals that inhabit them are used to exactly such soils and such a climate, so they feel good here and won't be able to live normally in the other conditions. These are, for example, the blind and the false faint amuranchik. Both are included in the Red Book of Ukraine, as well as in the Red List of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. Zoo Kakhovka in the occupied Nova Kakhovka was completely flooded. Only swans and ducks survived. Flooding of coastal areas destroyed crops, mainly vegetable crops. You can see on a map that all this water goes through the populated areas to the big city of Kherson. And this is what the flooded areas of Kherson look like. Is this Venice or what? It's just unbelievable awful. Of course it's terrible to the unique nature, but it doesn't mean how unique it is. First of all, it's nature. And also this tragedy will destroy the lives of many people. According to the forecast, about 80 cities will be completely flooded. Just think that people lived there. The explosion took place on June 6th, and the evacuation of people immediately began. And here there are shots from the Mykolaiv region which received water. The woman said that the water rises every day by 50-60 centimeters. Even the doggy is afraid of water and hides on the top. Just think how many animals are staying in the danger zone. And this has really made me sad. History repeats itself. And in fact, this is not the first time in history when Russia blew up this dam. During World War II, Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union against its will. So in August 1941, the Soviet army retreated under the onslaught of German troops. The command of the Red Army decided to blow up the bridges in Zaporizhia and hydroelectric dam in order to prevent the enemy from crossing the left bank of the Dnipro. The Soviet authorities did the right thing to detain the Nazis, you may say, but the main crime turned out to be that the explosion was carried out so swiftly that neither the military nor civilians were warned about it. According to historians, thousands of civilian people died, who were washed away by a huge wave. In 2011, Ukrainian documentary filmmakers released the film Level of Secrecy. In Soviet times, it was officially believed that the Germans blew up this dam. Soviet propaganda reported just such a version. And as we see, the history is indeed cyclical. Only now Russia is blaming Ukraine for undermining this dam and killing a lot of animals, although it did it itself. And to be blunt, are you sure that Russia cares about animals? There are fucking terrorists. Is there a threat to a nuclear power plant? The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is located on the shore of the Kakhovka reservoir, which was occupied by the Russians for 1.5 years. The nuclear power plant is cooled with the water from the storage. Experts previously warned that if the water level drops and there is a lack of it in the cooling ponds, it will raise the question of the threat of nuclear accident. The destruction of a hydropower plant may have negative consequences for the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, but the situation is under control, according to the Energoatom. Undoubtedly, this is a tragedy for Ukraine, but Russia did it because for its own military purposes. And Ukrainians now are forced to save people, animals on boats. And cry because their homes are literally floating in water and you can see only their roof. And also due to the fact that Russia placed many mines on the bank of the Dnipro, they all floated and will spread throughout southern Ukraine and may even fall into the Black Sea. You can see full video about it right here. Write down in the comments what do you think about this topic. It wasn't a planned video and it would be better not to have to shoot this video at all, but this is the reality we live in. Subscribe to my channel if you are interested in Ukraine, its history, current events and interesting facts, problems, etc. Put your big like here because I can see the results of my work. And that's it. Thank you, Royals. See ya.